here with Bobby Gomes, 2 hours, NBA DFS conversation, 6-gamer, plenty of time to knock this out, handing it off to the crunch time, which, by the way, alert for crunch time. They're coming in earlier now, going forward. My usage is going down. Too much usage for me. They finally recognized that. 6:15, what we're aiming for, 6:15, 6:20. Just basically 10, 15 minutes more of, nope, that's bad math. 10 minutes more of the crunch time crew. Yeah, there you go. So you guys will enjoy that, our handoff in about an hour and 15 minutes. Myself and Bobby, you guys got the two of us, 6-gamer, plenty to talk about. How are things in your world, Bobby?
Pretty good. Looking forward to tonight's slate. This Nets stuff is going to be pretty interesting, I would imagine.
Yeah, they traded Walker Kessler. I don't know if you saw that was Shams had a heck of a troll because he's like, yeah, Brooklyn is in talks with Sacramento and they're going to trade Walker Kessler. No, not Walker Kessler.
No, Walker Kessler went to Sacramento, right?
No, Walker Kessler is on Utah. Is it Kessler Edwards? Is that his name?
Kessler Edwards, yeah. Kessler.
I'm confusing my Kesslers, but yeah, who, like, I don't even think he played yesterday. And if he did, it was minimal. But yeah, apparently Kessler Edwards is going to likely go to Sacramento, which, whatever, okay. And Dwayne Dedmon and a second-round pick has been traded to San Antonio for, we don't know. I have no idea what it could be for. But congratulations to the Spurs. There's probably some, I don't know what's going on, maybe contract stuff. I'm not really sure what the reasoning or the point of that was, but congratulations to Dedmon. Maybe Dedmon gets some run if they trade Pirtle. Yeah, trade deadline is Thursday, right? I'm losing my mind. It's in like 2 days, right? Yes, I think so.
Yeah, it's Thursday. I'm pretty positive.
Yeah, some chips to certainly fall. The Thursday slate's going to be wild. Usually ends at 3-4 o'clock East Coast time, so plenty of time to adjust as well. Of course, we already had the blockbuster with Kyrie going to Dallas. Dinwiddie not yet available for Brooklyn, as is DFS not available as well for Brooklyn, so they will be thin today. So of course we'll be talking about them as far as this slate. Some midday downgrades. DeMar DeRozan, he's got a hip. He's today just dropped. He's questionable. Back half of a back-to-back for him. Jamal Murray had a injury management tag. Has that since been changed, or is he still questionable? I believe he's questionable now, unless that's changed and I missed it. Let's see.
Jamal Murray, you said?
Yeah, he got that a couple hours ago. Yeah, he's questionable as of 3 hours ago for Denver.
DeJounte Murray got the midday downgrade too, right, for a migraine?
Yeah. It's interesting that they put migraine and not illness. Like, what's the difference? Are they kind of sort of – they're sisters or cousins, right? They're similar.
Or he's just hungover.
Is that what they're implying? Is there an implication?
I don't know. I don't know. Why would you put migraine? It's weird to put that.
Yeah, I guess illness is sort of different. I'm not sure. Alex Caruso's got that foot, so he's questionable. Also potentially on the trade block. And we've seen how different teams do different things with players that are on the trade block. Like we saw Bones Island, that's pretty clear. He's not playing anytime soon or ever again for Denver. I think he's going to get traded. That seems like one of the poorly kept secrets right now. They were without 4 players their last game. He got 0 run and it was a blowout. The thing with Christian Wood last night was really weird because they brought him back from injury. It's been a long time, and they gave him 18 minutes. Like, what's the point? Either bring him back or don't. And he's also allegedly in the trade block also. But that's what they decided to do. They won the game too, so I guess it worked out for him. Good for them.
I had a lot of Christian Wood, so it didn't work out for me.
I had some. I thought he was a really good tournament play because I thought it was a thumb, right? Like, well, if he's going to play and start, let's go. And he wasn't starting, and I'm like, well, what is it? This means he might not even play at all. Like, what's going on here? So I swapped off it because I just didn't. But I do understand there was still once I saw him enter 5 minutes into the game, like, he might not come out. He just might stay out there, and maybe I should have kept my shares. But no, they let him play 18 minutes. And what is the point of that? I'm sure you weren't happy with it, but
I wasn't happy with it because I still thought he was going to get minutes. I don't know why I should have moved off, but I ended up not moving off. So,
yeah, and the whole Dallas starting lineup last night was pretty funky. But then Hardy came up the bench, and I almost
that was the mistake I made was Hardy, because I had a ton of Hardy, obviously, and then him coming off the bench and noticing, like, I don't know, it just ended up being like Wood there. Maybe that was my reasoning. I'm not totally sure, but I lowered my Hardy when he wasn't starting. I think that was the wrong move.
I just looking at Hardy's G League stats, we kind of talked about that yesterday. I was like, man, this guy, he is a shooter. He's gonna get some opportunity if the game blows out, and there was a decent chance. There's a thought that it can blow out, and of course they ended up winning. But yeah, once he came in, he was firing, and yeah, it was a tough fade because it was a tough call because I was right there with you, and I wasn't really sure. And the other guy who started, I can't remember his name anymore.
McKinley.
It's like, okay, I got a little bit of a ham, and I'm like, but I think I'm just going to stick with Hardy. I think Hardy's the guy. But, hey, this is Daily Fantasy Sports. DFS stands for, today and today only. That's all we care about. Clean slate, whatever you did yesterday, good for you. If it was bad, it was good. We're right back at it. A 6-gamer tonight. LeBron is questionable. That's nonsense, right? Like, he's playing, I think, right? What's going on?
He also has that milestone, right, with the 36 points that he needs or whatever.
Yeah, which is it's like, it's really interesting how people are approaching that. I saw the Vegas lines. Like, Vegas is like taking advantage of people like playing that narrative, like, oh, he's going to get 36 tonight, and that's that. I know some smart people that like months ago eyed the Milwaukee game, and they said, this is the game he's going to break it at. And like, you go to bet it, like in sports books, like, when he breaks the 36. And that's Thursday. Both these games, national TV, they're both going to be on, TNT. But OKC, or doing it against, Milwaukee, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's former team, Giannis Antetokounmpo on the other side, kind of sort of somewhat the heir apparent. Like, I feel it, but like, it's not like he's like not going to try to score, right? If he plays tonight, it's a weird thing. Like, but I feel like he's just going to be, he's going to try to score and they're going to try to win. But I think he's happy to just distribute a little bit more. Maybe Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis is an awesome play tonight. Besides the fact it's a really good matchup, Anthony Davis versus OKC. And 2 of the 3 fastest teams in the league, and OKC gives it the most rebounds to opponents as well per game. Really curious for ownership plans, and I just assume LeBron plays, but we don't know. And that's the only game at 10 o'clock, right? So if you look at the slate, 6-gamer, but it's fully spread out. We're going to do a game-by-game deal in a second. You got 1 at 7, 1 at 7:30. Sorry, 2 at 7:30. Then you got Chicago, Memphis at 8, and then Minnesota, Denver at 9. And then you have LeBron, OKC, and the Lakers all by itself. Of course, assuming you set stuff up right, you can go from LeBron to Davis. If you find out LeBron's out, you probably can get Jokic if that's happened before 9 o'clock. You can figure some stuff out there, depending on if you leave enough spots. Is there any sort of plan you have as far as making lineups in anticipation of? I just assume he's playing. It's sort of my thought process.
Yeah, so even if he is playing, I think I prefer AD. Like you kind of said, OKC, not the greatest in terms of protecting the rim, or just obviously they're pretty low in the league when giving up rebounds to big. So AD just seems like the choice for me, even though projections are kind of hinting that I should be more inclined to play LeBron, I guess.
I think I saw like 31.5. The books put the total at, and it just feels like they're artificially pumping it up just because people want to, to bet on the history and the bet on the narrative and all that. It's so, I mean, we'll get to it, I guess, but I'm so curious how it happens in that, like, somebody asked me on Twitter today, like, let's say, hypothetically, this game is really, really close, and LeBron's got, 33 points or whatever, and he hits a three-pointer with a minute to go, and it's a 1-point game, and he breaks the record. Are they just halting this game, like, in the last minute? And just having a whole deal?
Break it in OKC. I think for all the reasons that you gave, he wants to break it on Thursday in Milwaukee.
Yeah. Well, it's home for the record. This game's in LA.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, so.
But yeah, I just wonder like how that goes down.
Yeah,
you have to acknowledge it. Like,
so maybe you would be more interested to get it in LA.
I don't know. I think Milwaukee ideally is the better spot, but the other thing is he's not going to like stop scoring. Like if he has a wide open shot or a wide open dunk, he's not just going to Also, the Lakers kind of need to win. Like that matters too. They're still fighting for W's and like playoff positioning and things like that. So I don't know. Like it's going to happen. If not tonight, it's going to happen Thursday. Like barring something incredibly poor, something negative that happens, it's going to happen. It's inevitable for sure. But yeah, anything else we should note as far as the slate before we kind of go around the horn? Did I miss anything? Oh, DeJounte Murray has got that migraine. Yeah, apparently you can't get a migraine from having to fish. They're saying in the chat. That's two things that are unrelated. We'll talk about Cam Thomas in a second. BMac, what's up, chat? Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications, do all the things, hit all the buttons. Whatever your adjective of choice happens to be, you want to tap the like button or caress it or tickle it, whatever works for you. Whatever turns that thumb up, we're good to go. We do appreciate it. Helps out with my ego. It's very sensitive, so it's very fragile. So lets me know that I'm doing at least a decent job. So there you go. Yes, Derek, you can do that as well. I guess I was prompting somebody to type that. Okay. Anything else? Or are we diving in game by game?
Let's dive in.
All right. Let's do it. Very first game is New York. New York at Orlando. Yeah. Oh, yeah. RJ Barrett. That was a fun one. Did you have RJ Barrett the other day when he got scratched post-lock? That was a lot of fun.
I had a little bit of Barrett, yeah.
Yeah. He had the fish or some illness of some sort. He's questionable. We'll see. I think we're working the assumption that he will be back, but we'll know this also 7:00 game. Well, theoretically, we'll know this. Mitch Robb, of course, still out for New York. Orlando getting healthier, but they still have Mo Bamba suspended, and Chuma Okeke is unavailable as well. As far as the total, 225 in New York is a 2-point favorite here versus the Magic. Let's assume for starters, I guess. Let's assume that Barrett is in. Of course, if he's out, things will change. We should probably have a what if. I'm going to pull that up on the fly, see if we can find one. But thoughts as far as New York? Assume Barrett's in.
Yeah, if Barrett's in at 6,300, I like him. I feel like at that price he's too cheap. We'll probably see between 34 and 36 minutes. I think he's fine for Turner. I don't want to get too bogged down with these first games, but I'm playing 150, so I'm always going to have some allocation to these guys. I also like Brunson at 8,500. Think he's interesting at the point guard position, probably be low owned relative to other players in the slate at point guard, so I don't mind him. Not getting to Randall at 10-2, quickly at 5-4. I think his minutes just for where they're at, 29. I'm not quickly, sorry. Grimes at 30. Like Grimes we currently have for 34 minutes. Like I can see him playing between 33 and 34. So he's someone like Barrett who's just going to eat up a ton of minutes. I think he's fine in larger field stuff. So my favorite three would be Barrett, Brunson, and then Grimes probably from the Knicks.
Doing a refresh here on the lineup HQ. Okay, we do have ownership updated as of 10 minutes ago. Good, that's what I wanted to see. We are assuming, again, that Barrett is in. Things will change if he is out. But as of right now, Fanduel, Brunson, absurd as far as the ownership, 44%. That's an insane number. But
he's for 20. He's 20% on. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just wanted to point out, just wanted to mention the Fanduel thing because, he's 7-9 over there. Like, come on, 44%. Like, he's just so solid. That is a huge number. But, if you're playing on Fanduel, he's a really strong play. Hartenstein's got a big ownership as well on Fanduel, 36%, 5K. The key, I guess, to him is power forward / center eligibility. So you're not stuck at center and center only. That would dramatically change his ownership. The other thing with him is that, you're banking on him continuing to stay out there once he's in the game. Of course, we're assuming he does not start. We have Sims starting. A little bit fickle, 0.89 fantasy points per minute on the season. Have you messed with the Hartenstein deal? And I don't think you mentioned him. If you did, I missed it. I apologize.
I didn't mention Hartenstein. He is center only, so that's why I think it's kind of difficult, but I definitely think he's in play as well at 4,400. He's seeing more minutes. We currently have him for 26. I could see him playing 26 minutes. I could see him playing upwards of 28. So I don't mind that price at 4,400.
Yeah, and DK, if Barrett plays, like you said, you like his price at 6'3". He's got 21% ownership. That's, again, obviously assuming he goes. Brunson, 18%. He's a little bit more expensive, but still a really solid play. Hartenstein is cheaper, but he's center and center only, so the ownership is less, 16%. Randall at 11%. I think he's got a better price on FanDuel, too. He's 9-1 on FanDuel at 22% ownership. Pretty good. And our if-then stuff, dramatically, I guess the biggest push would be for Quickly What has that ever gone wrong when Quickly jumps into the starting lineup? It feels like every time. But we would give him 36 minutes. So a lot of minutes for Quickly. If Barrett sits, he would become our second biggest value on DK, second biggest value on Fanduel, according to New York. Both him and Randall look really, really strong if Barrett does not go.
We do think Barrett goes, though, right?
I would guess he does, but like it's an illness, you never really know. But I would assume so. But whatever he was dealing with a couple days ago was bad enough for like him to like get emergency scratched. So, but who knows? But I would guess it's a couple days later. I would guess he's feeling better, but you never really know. Evan Fournier, obligatory revenge mention. Don't think so. Maybe if Barrett's out, but still, I can't imagine. I feel good about that. How about Orlando? How do you feel about the Magic tonight?
Yeah, so for Orlando, Jalen Suggs at 3,600, I definitely have interest in. I think he's been playing better. His minutes have been up. Currently, I could see him playing around 23 minutes. So where do we have him for minutes? We have Suggs for 21 minutes. So, yeah, I like Suggs a good bit at 3,600 either way. Like, I think he's fine. Paolo, in terms of the defense versus archetype tool, he's right up there at 7,500. Once again, I don't want to get too bogged down on this first game, but I'll have some exposure to these guys. Wendell Carter, 6K, if he's the last guy in. Same thing with Franz. Same thing with Fultz. Those would be the Orlando guys that I would consider. But this is the lowest total game on the slate, so I don't want to get too much allocation to this first game at 7 p.m.
I agree with you. I don't think I'm playing a ton. We got to acknowledge the existence. Bankero, I think, is playable. Like you mentioned, Wendell Carter Jr. at 6K is fine, but again, not a priority. If it makes everything else work, I suppose I'm okay with it. Orlando, plays too many guys. They don't have anybody that plays more than 35 minutes. I guess it's all kind of baked into the price, right? Their most expensive player is Bankero at 7.5K. So I suppose it's already, noted. But yeah, I tend to just basically avoid Orlando. It's a 6-gamer, so I don't know if I can fully scratch them out. If I play anybody, it's probably Bankero. They're talking about, was I trying to mush Cam Thomas yesterday? I don't recall if I was trying to mush him. I don't think that's something I was doing. Like once he started, though, it was like Cam Thomas season for sure. They're expecting Simmons back tonight, and I guess do we have Simmons starting over Cam Thomas? Is that what's going on? Because they're talking. We'll talk about Cam in a second.
Yeah.
We
do have Simmons starting for what it's worth.
Yeah. Booker's back as well on the other side. I think Phoenix is probably they have the question on the expert survey, like what's the team that you're least interested in? I think we'll get to it, but I think Phoenix is probably the least interesting team as a whole on the slate. It's that, the classic deal of the star coming back. The Stars almost definitely going to have their minutes limited, but they're going to eat enough to eat away at all of our players that had their salary risen in the absence of said star. So just nobody looks good on the Suns. Anything else to say as far as New York and Orlando?
No, let's get into the 7. I think 7:30 is pretty important to the slate, getting it right. So
yeah, especially if DeJounte Murray doesn't go. Now DeJounte Murray's got that migraine, he's questionable. Trae Young expected to go with his illness. He's nowhere noted on the injury report. As far as the Pelicans, we'll talk about Brandon Ingram, man, especially DK. He's expected to go with that toe. Jonas Valanciunas has a quad. He's fine. He's probable. Basically, their only injury is Zion these days. Dyson Daniels still out, but one that really matters, Zion. 236.5 as far as the total, high and tight. New Orleans just a 2-point favorite here versus Atlanta. Let's start with Ingram because this is one of those, you're running 150. Do you ever just say this?
He might be. I might saying I locked pool last night. I could see myself locking Ingram at 7,100. That price is just too cheap. On DraftKings, I don't see how you really get away from him. Really like Brandon Ingram. A bunch of these guys from this New Orleans team, I think, look pretty good. Whether it's CJ McCollum, Jonas Valanciunas, Trey Murphy, and Herb Jones, I think they'll all be in my player pool. But definitely by far my favorite is Ingram at 7,100. I don't see me, like, if I was building, I don't know, if we're saying 3 lineups, he would be on all 3. If I was building 150, he's probably going to be up 80 to 90% or just a total lock.
Yeah, it's an outrageous price here on DK. Like, it's, I don't know, at least 1K too cheap. Can we say 7-1? That just doesn't seem.
I think it's $1,000 too cheap. He should be in the 8Ks easily in this situation.
Yeah, like he had that minutes limit when he came back, but the minutes seem to be fully there. He's in good form as well. Last 3 games, he's been really strong. Atlanta, they play pretty fast. They play pretty poor defense as well. He gets a higher usage bump in the absence of Zion. It just seems too good. And like you talk about, in large field stuff, he's 45% owned for somebody at 7-1. Like, I'm more likely as a general rule to lock in like the 3K guy that, like, he only has to do so much and, he's going to give you 30 or something like that. But like the higher the price the person is, and then all of a sudden they're going to be 45% owned, then I'm willing to fade them because they actually have to do stuff, like more stuff. But man, this seems really, really good. 45%.
It's tough to fade him though. Like, it just with a shooting guard, like it seems like a tougher. Like if he was a small forward or just or a point guard, like, I guess you can make the case, but it's just tough with that position eligibility, I would say.
It's tough. I wonder what the chat doing. Is a chat anybody bold enough to say they're going to just fade Brandon Ingram or just come in well under the ownership? And the other thing is I like to play like the single entry, the 3 entry stuff. And this is 45% for large field, heavy up top, that kind of thing, where you're running 150. Single entry, he's going to be like 70%, 80%. It's going to be an outrageous number. So, you can get rewarded if things go awry. But,
and these shot's going to fade him in chat. I like that. I like you gotta be a little, you gotta be bold. Maybe coming in around the field isn't the worst idea. It just seems like it's another Jordan Poole situation last night for me.
Yeah, I mean, I respect. Yeah, if you're fading him, I respect him. There's different ways to do it as far as this slate, but it also should note the ownership stuff is going to be distinctly different. Not different for sure than it is Fanduel. Fanduel's 7-8. He's still a really strong play over there, 35% as far as the ownership, but it feels like a much, much better play. Well, good play on both sides, to be clear, but distinctly better on DK. The rest of the Pels, Herbert Jones, my arch enemy, Herbert Jones, 4.9K, getting 25% ownership here. Valanciunas, which is always a tricky one. You never really know, after his shift in the third quarter ends, when 3 minutes left, 4 minutes left, 5 minutes left in the third, depending on, will we see Jonas again? You never really know. It's one of the worst just sort of sweats if you're waiting for him to come back. Because many times he doesn't. A lot of times Larry Nance will close and steal those minutes. A lot of times Hernan Gomez will do his thing. But Hernan Gomez, like his variance is like 0 minutes to like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Like he can give you a legit 0. I believe we're projecting him today for 0 minutes with Valanciunas back. If you're running 150, are you bold enough to roster yourself some Hernan Gomez? Is he in the pool or?
No, not in the pool. Definitely,
Yeah.
Valanciunas will be in the pool. It's interesting. Valanciunas minutes across the industry is like 24 everywhere. So it's just like there's obviously variance. He could play more than that, but 5'7" is like a good tag. I feel like I don't hate that tag for him. It's on this slate. Like I think he's fine to get to. I'm not setting my expectations too high.
Hey, not to halt the show, but Don Yeezy said, is it Kirk's birthday today? Kirkwood?
Is it? I don't even know.
I would assume you guys are like Facebook friends.
Me and Kirk live we live across like the harbor from each other. I very rarely see him. Same thing with JSU. JSU lives around here. JSU lives further away, but
what's across the harbor? Like, what is that? 10 minutes away? I don't know.
It's like I can see in a Kirk's like condominium from my window right now, or not his like building complex, not his condominium. That'd be weird.
But like you're on one side or the other, and that's that. Like you have your stuff you like on your side, and like it's an excursion to cross over. Is that basically what you're talking about?
It's tough. There's like a tunnel. There's traffic. Boston traffic's probably the worst in the country. So yeah, it's
sneaky bad in Boston, right?
I would imagine I'd see him at the casino pretty shortly.
Is there a casino in Boston? Or you got to go like Connecticut or something like that?
No, they just opened one up. We got sports betting on my birthday, January 31st.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So they have is it just sports betting, or there's like craps and roulette and all that stuff?
It's everything. Yeah, it's craps, roulette, poker, games I don't play. I just mainly play DFS, but maybe I'll sports bet. I don't know. Look at some props. Look scores and odds. Is that what we have, or what is it?
Yeah, man. Well, you know what? I can tell you about scores and odds. First of all, I should mention Wednesday night, tomorrow night, scores and odds in conjunction with RotoGrinders. Of course, we're under the same umbrella. After the Crunch Time show, like immediately after Wednesday night's Crunch Time show, they're going to be talking sports gambling in regards to the big game, wink, wink, that's happening on Sunday. They play American football. So, yeah, if you're into such things, and obviously they'll be talking player props and sides and totals and the whole deal. I think I saw Chop's going to be a part of that. I'm not exactly sure who is. I should know. But some sharp people will be discussing. And, of course,
Dean, take a look at the screen.
Oh, you know what? Dude, that voice made me jump for some reason. I was not prepared for that. I was startled.
I seen you get a little startled there.
Like, whoa. Where did that voice come from? Okay, so that's Will, and that's Chopper, and that's the Luch. Oh my God, who's the fourth? Do I know who the first person? Who's the fourth person, Bobby? Help me out.
I do not know who that guy is. Who is that guy?
I thought Grant might be on the show, but I'm pretty sure that's not Grant. I haven't seen him in a while. I'm fairly certain that's not Grant. He looks savvy, though. He looks like he knows.
He looks like he knows things, this
guy. Yeah, I don't know who that is, but I might know their handle. Now, that works sometimes. Yeah. Magic starting Fultz, Harris, Franz Wagner, Banchero, and Carter Jr. for what it's worth. And producer Steve, feel free to find out who that is, the fourth person, because now I feel I'm being rude, and I just don't know who it is. I apologize. But yeah, super savvy look on the face. That he knows who's going to win. He's got some winners for y'all. Check it out Wednesday nights. Yeah, there you go. What were we talking about? Now I feel like we got derailed. I apologize.
We were talking about the New Orleans Pelicans team.
Yeah, we were talking about Kirkwood's birthday. Yeah, he's got to be gambling. Is that when he's gambling on his birthday? Can he get out of the house?
If it's tonight, like I'll go the encore after this if I can sneak out of the house.
Yeah. All right. The rest of the Pels. Talk about them because
I believe it's Nick Galadia.
Okay, yeah, he writes for Scores and Odds. Okay, there you go. I've seen his work. I just didn't know his picture. But there you go. I'm not going to hit you on pronunciation because I don't know how to pronounce his name either, to be honest. But yes, that does look familiar. He writes up props and things of that sort on Scores and Odds for all your sports gambling needs. Check out Scores and Odds. It's good times. Do you have any bets, by the way, out of curiosity? I don't really have any big takes just yet. Nothing's really come to me. I felt really, really good about the Eagles beating San Fran. That's not playing the results, but I felt like they're going to win no matter what. I don't really have a strong lead with Kansas City versus Philly. You got something?
I took the Chiefs +1 originally. So
is that where it's still at?
I think it's moved probably. I got a bad line because it immediately moved to 1.5 after I took +1. My girlfriend has the under for what it's worth.
Who roots for the under?
That's what I said.
I mean, it's a smart bet, obviously. It's not a fun bet. Come on, punt.
Come on, punt. Yeah, exactly.
Casey.
You're rethinking stuff.
Casey's getting 1.5 now. If you go to scoresandodds.com and just go to the NFL, you can see the lines at every sports book. FanDuel, DK, MGM, PointsBet, all of them, a whole bunch, and they give you the best lines in different areas. We also have that tool as well for player props too. It's if you like a player prop, you like certain person to get a certain amount of rebounds, just go use the player prop tool and type that person's name in, and it'll give you the odds in every single book as opposed to, going to every book. It's a time saver for sure. Just figure I throw it out. Some people are probably not aware, but it is a useful tool on Scores and Odds. Do we like Herb Jones at 25% ownership? As a general rule, I don't like that thought process, but he's a fine math play.
I'm going to come in under, but I'm definitely going to play him. Probably I'm at 19% currently, so I don't know. What's he at, 25? I'm going to be under that, but not by much.
Valanciunas is usually a better play when he's not getting ownership. He's getting 18, 19 today. Like you said, we're giving him 24 minutes, and that's a medium.
I'm under on Joe Val, but yeah.
Jose Alvarado, his minutes have kind of taken a hit of late, but theoretically get Grand Theft Alvarado's in play. We're giving him 20 minutes or so. As a flat out cheapie, you catch him on the right night. I don't mind him, but his floor can be rough. Marshall and Murphy have lost minutes. They're now like in the mid 20s. I guess Murphy at 30, Marshall at 24. With New Orleans getting healthier, I think their prices kind of need a bit of a correction. Not that you can't play them, but I don't think I will. Is there anything else of note as far as New Orleans?
No, that's pretty much it. For me, it's pretty Brandon Ingram. I'm going to play some Joe Bell and Herb Jones. In larger field stuff, Alvarado at 3,500. You can make the case for him. I wonder where his minutes are going to come in. Like we have him at 20. He could come in under that. So
I think it's been under the last 3 games under 20 minutes.
Yeah, so that's what I'm looking at now. So I don't know if I'm going to be really jumping to get Jose Alvarado in my lineups.
Don Yeezy says, I'm going to get some Murphy. He's been crushing. He has been crushing. However, not the actually you. 36 minutes last game, 6 for 8 from 3. Is that repeatable? Unlikely. But he crushed that game. He was great, but 6 for 8 from 3. The previous game, he was 4 for 9 from 3. Is that repeatable? Probably not. I guess possible, but unlikely. It's unlikely he's going to make 4 threes. If he does, and that's how he gets there, he's got to make his threes. He is a good 3-point shooter. If he's not making them, the floor is rough. But that's basically what you're betting on. You're betting on Murphy to make his 3-pointers. Atlanta, I guess if Murray doesn't go, obviously Trae Young becomes a stronger play. I believe we should have a what if. Let's see.
We do have a what if, yeah.
Yeah, Trae Young would spike. Go ahead. Your thoughts as far as Atlanta.
I think Trae Young, I'm with you. I think Trae Young would spike. I think Hunter, just for it's not a ton of value on the slate, but I think Hunter at 5,200 is a good play on the Atlanta side. What I'm trying to figure out is would AJ Griffin or Jalen Johnson end up starting if, say, Murray sat? I mean, would that, because then we have immediate value, I would say.
AJ Griffin or Jalen Johnson, you're saying?
Yeah.
I think it'd be more likely to be AJ Griffin, right?
I think it would be AJ Griffin, yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be Griffin as well. But I have not run like Griffin, but I assume his usage and his fantasy points per minute would hurt with playing alongside Young.
Yeah.
17% usage in the season. I thought it'd be a little bit higher than that. 0.78 DK points per minute. And they started Griffin when Young was out. I did see he started that game too alongside DeJounte when the reverse happened. And also DeJounte just might play. And if DeJounte plays, I don't think, of course, if you're running 150, sure, you get pieces of Young, you get pieces of Murray. But for me, I don't think they're massive priorities. Young at 16%, Murray at 3%. Murray, of course, his price is spiking because of how he thrived in the absence of Young. It's got to come down for me to – I'm not playing Murray at 9-2. I'm just not doing it. It's not happening. That beats me, so be it. I'll move on. But Trae without Murray. Is Murray in your pool if he plays at 9-2?
Not at 9-2, no. I would like Trae if he sat. DeAndre Hunter minutes play. And I do wonder if AJ Griffin would end up starting, and then I'd probably have some interest there in 150.
He has been bad of late, but John Collins is all the way down to 5.4 on DK. If you just want to play the price, that just seems cheaper than he typically is.
This is one of those slates where I think you kind of have to play the price just because we have a lack of value. So I don't mind getting to Collins a little bit.
Yeah. I'm okay with Collins as well. I assume he's on the trade block because he's forever on the trade block. But, I don't know how serious they are about trading him. But doesn't it feel like he's always been a guy that's been on the trade block that's never traded?
And never traded, yeah. No, 100%.
I think I'm not really sure what's going on there. I don't know why he's so untradeable. Multiple people in the chat are talking about Gary Harris. Why are we talking about Gary Harris? What did I miss? He's drawing the start today for Orlando. What are we expecting out of Gary Harris today? I don't know what his price is because they're saying he's too cheap. Just kind of noticed this in the chat. And we are looking for some value to some degree. Gary Harris projected for 27 minutes and 14 fantasy points. Yeesh. He is 3-3. What is his fantasy points per minute? Is it 0.6 or 0.5?
It's like 0.5.
Is it that bad? Man.
It's very bad. Yep.
Now I have to check. It's 0.67, which isn't horrendous. It's not good. 0.67, 0.65 on FanDuel. Usage at 13%. That's not ideal as well. Yeah, I don't know. Again, if Gary Harris beats me, it sounds like he's not in your pool. Am I hearing you correctly?
I'm not playing Gary Harris.
Yeah,
I feel the same way you do. I do like Suggs at 30. So like I would just play Suggs off the bench.
Is he basically the same price?
He's 3,600.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, you do you, man. If Gary Harris puts up 26 today or something like that, victory lap it, man. Good for you. He's not getting any ownership, right? I just was wondering why we were talking about him. Let's see. He's expected to have 2% ownership. This might change. Was he expected to start? We're giving him 27 minutes, so that's kind of starter minutes for Gary Harris.
I think we had him expected to start. Yeah.
Okay. Capella? Anything with Capella?
Like I would prefer like Collins and Hunter ahead of Capella. Also Trae Young if Murray was out, but then probably Capella.
Is there anything else here as far as this Atlanta New Orleans games? You know, the big thing is to be alert if Murray's out. We'll see Hunter become more popular. Young will become more popular. I guess Bogdanovich would get. Let's just see if anything else popping as far as the if then. They probably won't start Bogdanovich, but he's all of a sudden get 30 minutes projected, 28 DK points, which is fine. Collins not changing dramatically. Gary Harris has started the last 8 games. How have I missed? He's played everyone. I know he started sometimes, but he's due for a good one. I mean, yeah, okay, Martin-Gellett, I suppose, but I don't think I'm going to go there. We're moving on, right? I think so.
Yeah, I think we're getting over to what game's up next, Dean. You're running the show.
We have more interesting games, theoretically. Well, not really. Well, I don't like this one. I already kind of spoiled my thought. And I feel like it's a universal thought if you look at ownership. 224.5 is the total with Brooklyn and Phoenix. Phoenix is an 8-point favorite. They are getting Booker back today. They are still without some pieces, of course. There is no I have this written. No Campaign and no Shamitz, of course. They're still out. Brooklyn, no Dinwiddie, not available just yet. No Durant, of course. No Seth Curry. DFS not available just yet. Yuta Watanabe was scratched with his back, so he's going to be out of the rotation as well. Whatever minutes he was going to get delegated his way. We are projecting Ben Simmons to start alongside Sumner, O'Neal, Joe Harris, and Claxton. That doesn't mean you can't play Cam Thomas. I wanted to see his usage the last couple of days because it's been insane. You want to guess what his usage was yesterday and the day before, Cam Thomas?
30 plus, I would imagine.
Almost 43% usage yesterday.
Yeah.
And the day before, it was 45. Which is
I think they should start Thomas over Simmons.
Man.
I think we don't have him currently projected starting. I think we have Simmons. I think I still want to get to some Cam Thomas. Him and Sumner on this team, I think on this slate are going to be very, very chalky. I think they're slightly good chalk.
I think if nothing else, I think Thomas is still very likely to close even if he doesn't start. Yeah, I mean, I'm not afraid of playing him. And what are we giving him? Probably 30 minutes. Yep, exactly 30 minutes. So who are we taking? We're giving 34 to Claxton, 34 to O'Neal, 32 Sumner, 30 Thomas, 28 Simmons, and then 26 for Harris. I think we have Harris starting, so don't really know if he closes. A lot of that's dependent on if his 3-point ball is dropping. It typically isn't, not this year at least. Sumner, 52% ownership, 42% to Thomas. This is DK, a little bit different on FanDuel. Thomas actually got a pretty big bump over there. Claxton at 7.7, still getting 18%. He dropped as far as his price. Harris getting 13%. If you want to roll the dice on Simmons, he's 1 or 2% owned at 6.7. You're not getting any discount off the fact that we haven't seen him in a while. I just don't know what we're getting. I have no idea. I don't know how to give him a projection. Is he in your pool, Ben Simmons? 150. You got one?
Currently, I think I was getting to a little of them prior to this. Actually, I'm not getting really any Ben Simmons. Looking at it right now, getting Cam Thomas, ton of Sumner, Joe Harris, and that's pretty much it. Some Nick Claxton too as well. It's just this situation's so difficult because it's like a complete skeleton crew, but it seems like Sumner is going to be the primary ball handler at 4-1. We have him playing a good amount of minutes to where like he's definitely going to be value. And then if you think Cam Thomas is closing, that usage rate, like everything, I just want to play Cam Thomas again. So yeah, Sumner and Cam Thomas probably my favorite value plays in the slate as it's currently constructed.
Break says TJ Warren's the play here. The problem with TJ Warren is it's a back-to-back, and like his minutes have been like cut as is. And TJ Warren, has played very little basketball in the last couple of years. 12 minutes last night, 18-9, 11, 18-9. We did see him play 24 minutes back in January. He had that little run where he's playing like in the mid-20s. I don't know if he's just not been playing well enough. He's not been playing good, for the record. He's been playing bad. And maybe it's catching up with him, as if it's performance-based or like whatever injuries he had, that they want to keep him as healthy as possible for whenever the playoffs, right? I'm not buying into the Warren thing, but he is cheap enough theoretically. But I don't see him just like popping off randomly and putting up 30 points tonight.
Yeah, I don't see Warren playing more than 16 minutes. So unless that's going to change, I'm probably not going to be too interested in TJ Warren.
I don't see it. Like he overachieved, I think, earlier in the season, and it's good for him for coming all the way back, because this is a guy that like basically was out of basketball for multiple years, at least one, possibly two.
We have Sumner for 30 minutes. Do you think he gets there if he's not starting?
Well, we have Sumner starting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, not Sumner. Sorry, Cam Thomas.
I think so. I think 28. Yeah, 28 to 30. I think that's pretty fair. Unless like he's just missing everything. He's not somebody that's like vastly a part of their future necessarily, right? Yeah. He's not. He's been good, but he's not like oh my god, this guy's the future and he's finally getting unleashed and this is why they traded away Kyrie. That's not that. That's not what's going on here. But like somebody's got to shoot, and he's a willing shooter, and he's been very efficient in his shooting. So he's going to keep chucking. And it's not going to be Ben Simmons shooting,
No, definitely not.
If we look at the usages for all these players, right, the available players tonight for Brooklyn, this is going to be pretty wild, actually, I think. The last couple nights might skew it a little bit. Yeah, I mean, Cam Thomas, 26% usage in the season. Again, in the 40s the last two games, outrageous. Sumner at 21, Warren at 20, Mills at 18, Daron Sharp 17, Claxton's not a big shooter at 16%, Simmons at 15%, O'Neal doesn't shoot 14%, Harris 14%, just shoots threes, Watanabe not playing 13%. Like somebody's going to get, theoretically, if it was all done like equally, it would be 20%, 20%, 20%, right? But 5 guys in the court, 100% total. Thomas is going to overshoot this 26% again, I imagine. So I still feel good about him, even if he only gets 28 minutes and he's not starting. But there's a chance he starts. He's still too cheap. I'll be a little bit more apprehensive on Fanduel for what it's worth at 6.5. Not saying you can't play him, but it's a little bit more baked in how his current role. Power rank the Brooklyn guys for me.
Yeah, so for me, it'd be Sumner, Thomas, Nick Claxton, and then probably Joe Harris.
Yeah, I don't want Joe Harris. At least he's not getting. That's Fanduel. He's getting very little ownership over there, 3%. I think he's getting ownership on DK. Yeah, 13%.
He's 3,800 in a slate with no value. He could fall into 26 minutes.
Yeah, but he's also like if he's not making his threes, forget it.
You're in trouble.
Yeah. But he could theoretically make 5 or 4, and you're kind of there. Any cap on the number of Brooklyn players or any sort of rules you're putting in?
Probably at most 3 for me.
Let's see. Horace.
I don't think I'll get much of Claxton or Joe Harris. So I think the majority Sumner and Cam Thomas.
Yeah. And Royce O'Neal is like the constant. Like his role is kind of his role outside of that one goofy game where he had the triple-double. But otherwise, he's not going to get a huge – he's fine. He's going to play 30, 35 minutes, 3-and-D. But you're not going to see like a huge game out of him necessarily. In before he puts up like 40 points in the bucket tonight. Question in the chat. Horace wants to know Sumner instead of Suggs. I mean, different price. Oh yeah. It's Sumner is distinctly better than Suggs tonight.
Sumner's like the best value play in the slate currently.
For what it's worth, we have Sumner projected for 29 fantasy points, 52% ownership. Insane number of ownership there. He's, one of the first guys you put in your cash games as well. And Suggs is we're giving him 21 minutes and 16 fantasy points. Like it's distinctly different. I'm fine being different, but I don't think that's the decision point. I'm not planting the flag on Suggs outscoring Sumner. I don't think that's happening. And then the Suns, they're playing against another team. The Suns getting no ownership because, again, the situation with Booker coming back and everybody else priced up, and now they're going to be overpriced with Booker coming back and stealing from everyone to some degree. Nobody getting more than 7% ownership on DK. It's Chris Paul. Booker, we give 28 minutes for what it's worth. There's no discount, 9.5. You have to assume there's like some sort of minutes restriction. I haven't seen anything. Have you? I've not seen nothing on it.
I haven't seen anything currently.
But yeah, we're giving him 28 minutes and 35 fantasy points at 9.5 is just, that is not going to cut it. Yeah, I don't think I'm playing any Suns. I'm not playing nearly as many lineups as you are. How about yourself? Any Suns for you?
I think you can make a case for like a Cameron Johnson or Bridges in larger field stuff. Ayton, 8,100s, that's kind of just out of range for me. I do like bigs versus Brooklyn. If Sarge was getting the start, I would have had interest at 3-4, but now with Booker back, like Dean alluded to, his minutes could just go. So completely disappear his minutes with Booker back. So yeah, for me currently, not a ton of Suns.
Cam Johnson getting 19% on FanDuel, by the way, 5-1. It's that small forward position as well. Got some versatility to power forward as well. So, yeah, I don't mind that. And, he's your classic 3-and-D, basically. Breaks is a fan of Chris Paul in the chat. Who's going to guard him? It's not so much who's going to guard him, and that's a fair point. But, he's just going to – his usage is going to fall back. Whatever it's been the last, month or whatever. How long has Booker been out? About a month, right? Sounds about right to me.
Yeah.
When did he last play? He has not played since Christmas. That's right. They brought him back early on Christmas. Remember? And he got hurt right away.
Yeah.
Played 4 minutes. I think that was the beginning of when people wanted their refunds. They bet the overs on Booker, and they ruined their Christmas. I think he was one of the – I know Luka was one, and Anthony Davis was one. I'm sure you've seen this on Twitter, the people begging the sports books for, hey, man, I bet the over, and I didn't know my guy was going to get hurt. Can you refund me? I know you're paying the under as well, but could you pay both sides? Yeah. So
yeah,
they
that
brought
wasn't
him back
going to go over well.
What's that?
That wasn't going to go over well.
Oh, it worked. It works sometimes. 60% of the time. Yeah, it works sometimes. So that's the problem is now people think you complain enough that it's going to work again, and they sort of set up this own sort of issue. Hey, there's TJ in chat. What's up, TJ? TJ, hit that like button already. Seriously, good Lord. You've been here for how long and you've not hit the like button? You can subscribe if you'd like as well. Turn on those notifications. All right. We do appreciate that. Again, crunch time coming in earlier now. Earlier crunch time, 6:15, 6:20. Just they're coming in a little bit earlier. More usage delegated to the crunch time team. We're stepping aside a little bit earlier. Want to give more time for questions. We're happy to answer questions as well, too, especially on a 6-gamer. Feel free to let them fly in chat. We'll do my best to knock those out. If not now, we'll get to them at the end of the show. Phoenix, Brooklyn, we're done, yes?
We are done. Phoenix and Brooklyn. Moving on.
Okay, yeah. 6-gamer, I hate just crossing a team out, but don't think I'm playing much Phoenix, if any, at all tonight. All right, very next game. That was 7:30. This is 8 o'clock. It's the only 8 o'clock game. It's Chicago at Memphis. Is Bridges better with Booker? That's a good question. I don't know if he is. He's still kind of priced up, though. I've not done the court IQ on it. I wonder if he might be. It's possible, maybe. 233.5 is the total as far as Chicago and Memphis. Memphis is a 9-point favorite. Chicago, back half of a back-to-back for them, and they're traveling as well. DeMar DeRozan, midday downgrade with that hip. Caruso allegedly on the trading block potentially. He's got that foot, so he's questionable. Maybe they sit him out. Patrick Williams is good to go with his ankle as far as Memphis. Nothing new here. Steven Adams has been out. He's still out. Morant is good to go. I guess he missed last game. Some sort of mess going on with him and the Pacers. I don't know if you saw that story, but I don't know.
I did see that story. That's absolutely insane. I just didn't. That
on the Athletic, he's disputing it, or he put I think on his Instagram, he basically said it was not true. That was the implication, but kind of a wild story out there. But yeah, as far as tonight, he is back, expected to play against Chicago. Chicago, pretty significant dogs here, and DeRozan is questionable. You think he plays? I don't know a good read on it, but maybe Chicago's just giving the game up. I don't know.
Hips are tough. And Caruso would also be another one too, right? We had that 49-point game from Drummond last night with Caruso sitting. Not that I think that's going to happen again, just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
If Caruso, we could have saw, I think it was in the realm of possibility last night that Drummond did get run if Caruso sat. So I think that could be
so weird, by the way, because they're two distinctly different players.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying. It's just strange that Drummond is relying upon Caruso, but that's just how that goes sometimes. But go ahead.
Yeah, so we have the what-if projections, Levine and Vucevic would get an obvious bump. I'd have interest in those guys if DeRozan and Caruso were out. And then Kobe White is another one in AO. They're tough plays, but I think they definitely come into play in that scenario. Drummond would also be someone that I'm not going to play. I'm not going to really chase Drummond.
You think people are going to do that? What is his ownership?
No, not at all. I don't think people are going to do that.
We're giving him 2-3%. Yeah, he's still minimum 11 minutes. Yeah, I mean, maybe we adjust it again if Caruso is out, but yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I just thought it was worth asking. You're talking about value or a lack thereof on the slate. One of the better value plays is probably Xavier Tillman. We're projecting him to start by 27 minutes. We're having him chop those minutes, the center minutes, with Brandon Clark. Brandon Clark getting 21. Tillman getting 27. There is some fragility to it, but that holds up. Tillman looks like a pretty solid play. 16% ownership on DK. Ja, always good, always playable. Just if you have one big spend in the slate, I don't know if it's Ja for me. Maybe. I think it's probably Jokic or Davis or LeBron first, or maybe Trae Young if we don't get Murray. So, yeah, not discouraging, not besmirching Morant, but not my favorite big spend. How about yourself?
I do like Morant. I think he's a good play tonight at 10-3. Just for Chicago, I don't mind getting to Morant, 1.5 fantasy points per minute. Should see around 34 minutes, but he's been getting a little above that within the last week. So I don't mind Morant. Jaren Jackson at 7,300. I don't hate it all. I think he's in play. And you hit on Tillman. Tillman for the value. We have him currently for how many minutes?
27 and 21 is the split between him and Clark.
Yeah, I think Tillman is someone as value. He's pretty strong value on the slate in the context of the slate. So don't mind some Xavier Tillman either. They would be my three favorite.
Tillman in the season, 0.97 DK points per minute. Clark, 1.08, but we are giving more minutes to Tillman. But certainly I think Clark is an interesting pivot away from, a direct pivot. I don't know if I would put a rule in one of those two, but I don't hate the idea of doing that, right? I think I probably would do that. There's not a ton of value in the slate, but would you put a rule, only one of Clark and Tillman?
Yeah, I would definitely make that rule.
Yeah, Triple J is home if you want to buy that theory that the home scorekeeper is giving him more blocks. just to help him get that Defensive Player of the Year award. If you buy into that, sure. And we know about the variance of Triple J could be, he can get in foul trouble and play 20 minutes, or he can have 7 or 8 blocks and like 4 or 5 threes and just be one of the best plays of the night. So he's always an interesting tournament play. 1.29 DK points per minute in the season. Really, really strong. He doesn't play a lot of minutes, for the type of caliber player he is. We're probably giving him 29. I'm guessing. I'm jumping to it right now.
We're giving him 31 currently.
Oh, okay. So they're 30. Sign me up for 31.
Yeah, I like Triple J. He might be my, obviously Tillman's the best value, but from this team, I think Triple J is probably my favorite overall play.
If DeRozan sits, let's just go ahead and pull this up. The blowout risk would heighten, but Levine will become a very, very strong play. We're giving him 38 minutes. Obviously, that's assuming no blowout. 47 DK points, 44 Fanduel, and he will become a really, really strong play. And Kobe White, we're projecting him for 27 and 25, respectively, as a pretty strong value play. Again, that's under the assumption that DeRozan sits. Worth noting. Anything else we should say as far as this game, or shall we move on?
No, that's pretty much like Vucevic at 9K. If everyone's going to go to Levine, I don't mind getting to Vooch versus Memphis front court without Steven Adams. Yeah,
they're not as strong, obviously, without Steven Adams. And I'm guessing his ownership is kind of low.
It's kind of low, yeah.
3-4% on DK. That would change a little bit if DeRozan doesn't go, because usage and stuff like that would shuffle.
Yeah.
Two games to go. Minnesota, Denver is up next. It's Minnesota, so of course Rudy Gobert is questionable with his groin. Kyle Anderson's got that back. He's questionable. Austin Rivers is still suspended. And, Jokic is good to go with his hamstring. Midday downgrade on Jamal Murray. Injury management. Do they play tomorrow night? I know they didn't play yesterday. Does Denver play tomorrow? Maybe that's what's going on here. No, they play Thursday versus Orlando. I'm not sure I don't know why they would pick this day of all days, but that's interesting. And we'll see. Stay tuned as far as that one. It would change things. Bones Highland, he might as well be hurt. Almost definitely not playing, I would imagine. I don't believe we're projecting any minutes for him. KCP and Gordon are both questionable with an ankle, both with ankles. So Jokic as a big spend, how do you feel about him?
He's the best play on the slate. I just spending out. It's the issue is the value. Like Kyle Anderson's going to be one of those value pieces. We don't know if he's currently going to be in. We haven't projected in, but he's obviously questionable. Really like Jokic. Really like Murray. I think they're very strong plays in this spot. But yeah, it's more about the value on the slate. I still think I'm getting to Jokic currently. He's definitely my highest on stud. But yeah, it's just trying to make these value pieces work. Kyle Anderson on the other side would be I think he's probably my third favorite behind Sumner and Thomas. But just talking about Denver, sorry for jumping back and forth.
No worries, you're good.
It'd be Jokic and Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray's minutes are being staggered. I don't mind him. And then Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. would both be making my player pool for just 150. But definitely Jokic, Murray, and then those two.
Earlier in the day when I was writing up the expert survey as my favorite contrarian play, I wanted to say Anthony Davis because he was getting not a lot of love earlier. People are going to be on LeBron. I understand why. Assuming he goes, of course, he would not become contrarian if LeBron happens to not play. We don't know that just yet. But I thought Jokic was, he was getting 10% or 14% on FanDuel and DK, depending where you're shopping. The ownership has since bumped up, but still doesn't seem high enough for me. Again, this stuff is fluid. It does change. But right now it's 14% for Jokic on FanDuel and DK, 19%, which just seems too low. It sounds like you agree. The matchup against Gobert, by the way, people are concerned about the matchup against Gobert. I went into the old stat news on it. And let's see, his last 9 games, Jokic versus Gobert, different teams, obviously. Just one against Minnesota, I think. He scored no less than 24 points in the bucket. He's averaged 29.6 points, 11 rebounds, and 9.2 assists in those last 9 games against Gobert. So I'm not scared. Just for the,
I feel like Jokic would be a pretty bad matchup for Gobert in general, just because he's like a fluid big, can move around a bit. So he's not just at the inside, He's basically running the point and stuff like that.
Eric wants to know why I'm not touting SGA. Well, we're not on the Thunder just yet. We'll talk about him. We'll get to that game. SGA and the Thunder were pretty horrific yesterday, but I guess they didn't even come back in the fourth quarter. But I assume it was because, in part, they're kind of get blown out, and also because they were on the front end of a back-to-back. And Gobert, it goes without saying, obviously, if he doesn't play, it's Naz Reid season. How much is Naz Reid? Let's see. He's probably almost definitely too cheap. If 4.7, but whatever. Like, you're playing him, right? Like, you're just playing Naz Reid. Not that the matchup.
That's why you're just playing Naz Reid, yeah.
Yeah. Do we have an if then? If Murray's out, we have, Jokic becomes a little bit better, 57 DK points. Gordon. Oh, Bruce Brown, I guess, is the one to note. 31 DK, 31 Fanduel. Is his price dropped a little bit? He's 5.5 on DK. Brown is, do-it-all, can step in for anybody. It's dinged 1 through 4, basically. I don't love that price, but I think he's fine at 5.5 if we lose Murray. Would anybody else be? No, not really. Gordon. How much is Gordon? Gordon 6'6", 6'9" on FanDuel. There's no clear and obvious play, I don't think. I think it's just we like Jokic more. That's my take. And Brown gets a bump, but it's not, like, awesome. It's good, but not awesome. You got anything on that?
It'd just be Jokic and then possibly Gordon for me.
We do have, let's see, is this that's if Kyle Anderson is out. If Kyle Anderson's out for Minnesota and Gobert is in, there's still no positive RG value. Gobert will be the best one at, 34, 35 DK Fanduel points. Yeah, the thing with Anderson, if he sits out, it's going to be like a mixed bag, of Matt Ryan, Nate Knight. Nothing really that's maybe one guy separates, but I don't think it's going to be anybody that you can certainly predict before the game starts. We should mention, I don't know, I didn't do it. Did you mention Anthony Edwards acknowledge his existence and his 1% ownership?
He's just up to 10K, right? Like that's a pretty hefty tag on DK. Jaden McDaniels is 4,600. I don't mind. Him and Kyle Anderson would probably be two guys I'd be looking to get to. Out of the studs on Minnesota, I just don't have much interest in.
Tough place to play in Denver. Yeah, I'm kind of there as well. Let's see. Anything come through as far as updates? Not really. Just the Orlando. It's pretty quiet. Pretty quiet out there.
It is quiet.
Yeah. I assume LeBron's going to go. We'll talk about that now. LeBron versus OKC. Well, LeBron and the Lakers, I suppose the entire team is playing against the Thunder tonight. Of course, all eyes are on LeBron and scoring those potentially magical 36 points. 36 points, of course, is the total that he would need to take down Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the top scorer all time in the NBA. 239.5 is a total, so it's a huge total. Lakers are 7-point favorites. Two of the fastest teams in the league, I believe two of the top three. Golden State, I want to say, is one. When you consider pace here, OKC, horrific rebounding team. They give up the most rebounds per game to opponents. It's one of the reasons why I like Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis also seems like a really interesting pivot away from LeBron. Where are we at as far as the ownership? LeBron and Davis. Has that changed throughout the game?
I think it's LeBron. No, Davis is now coming in more than LeBron. We have him at 10%, LeBron at 9%.
Interesting.
I think I prefer Davis because I think projections pretty much around the industry like LeBron make him in higher on.
Are you doing anything different projection-wise in your head or in your thought process, like the whole 36-point thing, or no, just whatever? If it happens, there's not. What can you do to prepare for it?
Yeah, that's pretty much. I could see him doing it on Thursday. I think that the more likely scenario is he does it versus Milwaukee.
I'm pretty shocked that LeBron's only getting 10% ownership right now. I think that's too low. I think it'll be higher. It's a national TV game. If you're watching like the First Takes and those kind of shows, I imagine they're talking about this. I don't know, but I assume. I just feel like that's too. I think the public's going to be on that more. And I know there's a math component, obviously, to how these numbers come about. I just don't think it's going to be 10%. I think it'll be higher than that. Just my read. Davis getting the same essentially. Can you play them both in the same lineup?
I would not.
Yeah. Average ticket price for the game tonight is $731. Woof. Wow. I mean,
is it really?
That's what it says in chat, according to Mr. Gerg. But if you go to ESPN, they do this thing where you can get tickets as low as $111, according to ESPN. You hit this link and it'll take you to whatever some page. This is before they hit you with $1 billion in service fees. So let me ask you this. You're a Laker fan, right? And the score is tied. 5 seconds to go. LeBron's got 32 points. He's pulling up for a 3 to win the game at the buzzer. You don't want that to go in, right? You're at the game now. You don't want that to go in. You want to be at the game where he breaks the record. You want it to go overtime where he scores it in overtime, right? I think. Yes?
I think that would, that's how I would look at it.
In the moment, though, you're rooting for it to go in because it's cool to watch a walk-off as well, but I think you're rooting from the miss.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think you're rooting for him firm to miss, so I don't know. Yeah, you're probably OKC fan at that point.
Yeah. I don't know if you have like the wherewithal though. Like you're probably caught up in the game and all that. Maybe you think back about it afterwards. I don't know. Just a random thought I had earlier today. How about the Thunder? How about SGA? He's not
I really like SGA in the spot.
Yeah.
I think he's going to come in way too low owned for this situation versus the Lakers. Pace up spot. Not a ton of defense coming from the Lakers these days. So I don't mind SGA at all. I don't mind Giddey. I think these guys are all interesting tournament plays. Those two mainly. Giddey's price is kind of up there at 7,900. So I still think I can make that work in 150. Shea's up to 10.8, which is I still like Shea. What do we have Shea for? He's got to be.
It's going to be low.
It's got to be low.
Yeah, especially if we lose Murray. I mean, then obviously all that would go to Young. I think Morant, I want to say, projects better, and he's basically the same price, right? Morant is actually cheaper. And does he project the same?
I think I really like Shea.
I don't like making restricting rules sometimes, but I do feel like if I'm playing SGA, I really want you're betting on this game to stay close. I really want to force a run back with either Davis or LeBron. I know it's going to pinch the rest of my lineup, but I feel like that's what I'm doing. If I'm playing SGA, I'm going to play one of Davis or LeBron to come with them. I don't know. Did you have that thought process as well?
I think, in terms of like correlating the game, I think that makes a ton of sense.
Let's see. Taking a peek at Twitter, seeing if anything's changed. Chat, fire off whatever questions you have. Any overarching questions as far as the slate, this guy or that guy. We got 5 minutes or so till the Crunch Time team joins us again. Crunch Time coming in early. No update as far as DeJounte Murray. The update is just game time decision. Is that 7:30 game? Yeah, it's kind of worthless. That's the no update. Same thing as far as Valanciunas and Ingram. They got game time decision tags, but they're both supposed to play. But that's probably the Andy thing. Andy goes on the rant about the game time decision, which is like, just don't worry about that. That means nothing's changed, basically. Yeah. Besides SGA and besides Giddey, other players that do anything for you as far as the OKC side, Jalen Williams, that's Jalen Williams, is projecting pretty well. 32 minutes, 15% as far as ownership, 5.5K. Aaron Wiggins is getting 13% ownership at a 17-point projection. Good Lord, no way. No,
what are
I'm
we
not doing that. What?
What do we have him for minutes currently?
We're giving him 25. And he may start, and he may not start. And if he starts, he may not start the second half. I mean, I'm just surprised he's getting that kind of ownership. That seems like too much.
I'm with you. It seems like a lot of ownership to be, especially with the OKC. It's just, I know the slate, not a ton of value, but this OKC team does some funky stuff with their rotation. So could be Aaron Wiggins and then Isaiah Joe, like starting the second half. I don't know. 3,600, I get it just in the context of the slate, but I don't know if I want to get to too much Aaron Wiggins.
In the chat, Conscious Machine is debating Tillman versus Hartenstein. Tillman, hopefully,
Tillman,
foul trouble.
very, very much so, Tillman.
I prefer Tillman too. Both those guys can get 2 quick ones really easily. As far as fouls, Hartenstein, there's no guarantee he's going to, come in and just stay in and close. We've seen that more of late, but there's no guarantee to it. Herb Jones, the ultimate wild card, so steals dependent, especially on Fanduel where you're playing where you get an extra point. Let's just see if anything stands out as far as opponent steals. Do the Hawks give up an inordinate amount of steals? I think number 1 is Houston. Yeah, Houston by far. As far as giving up steals, they're incredible for stocks. I think they're number 1 for both getting blocked and yielding steals.
Hartenstein Tillman is probably closer than what we're giving it credit for.
And ownership wise, is it debatable too? It's really close, right? I think so. Tillman's a little more.
Tillman's going to be owned more, but I think just as a play, like if you wanted to go the Hartenstein route to be different, I think you'd make a case to do that.
Atlanta, for what it's worth, middle of the road as far as giving up steals. They're 15th in the league. Maybe if Young doesn't play, I don't know how that would change things, but you might have like Griffin handling the ball to some degree. Probably would be a negative, but yeah, I wouldn't necessarily be betting on that. CP3 and Bane or Cam. Is that Cam? Both these have Phoenix Suns in them, so I'm going to yield to you because I already kind of let my thought process known as far as is that Cam Johnson? Cam is not super chalk. They're talking about Cam being super chalk. Maybe on Fanduel he's kind of chalky, depending on where you're shopping. But yeah, BI, that's Ingram and Cam Johnson or Bane and Chris Paul. Which twosome do you prefer?
Ingram and Cam Johnson, I think. I don't think they're
just
close for me.
Is that
on Fanduel or DraftKings?
I feel like this doesn't make sense as far as the salaries. Oh, it's Cam Thomas. That's what's going on there. Okay, I knew something was. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, so Cam Thomas and Brandon Ingram. Now that will be super chalky. There you go. Okay, now we understand. My apologies. When will the Jazz free Colin Sexton? I don't think Colin Sexton's very good. I don't think he needs. I think he's getting enough. There is rumors out there that the Jazz are trading. But of course, this rumor is always out there, right? It was Connolly. Is that what the trade was? Going to the Lakers. What did I see?
Booker will have a minutes limit. I wonder if some of those minutes go to Saric. Saric, I don't know how many we would give to Saric, but at 3-4, maybe Booker doesn't start. Who knows? I think Saric would become more in a play if he was starting, or I don't know. I don't know how that situation would go. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm underwhelmed.
Yeah,
it's a 6-gamer. Yeah,
in terms of value on this slate, so I'm probably digging for crumbs at this point.
The offer, by the way, I was throwing out there: Westbrook and 2 firsts for Connolly and Beasley, and I guess that would theoretically free Sexton to some degree. I don't think Sexton's he's fine as whatever he is, but I don't think he's a player that's being held back. Do you feel that way about Sexton?
I'm with you. I don't think Sexton is the greatest NBA player at this point.
One of my bad takes 3 years ago, I used to think Sexton and Garland were the same guy. I was like, oh yeah, what's the difference? They're both in Cleveland, same guy. I think
they have
Garland,
the same hairstyle too, so you could probably get.
Is that what it is? Is that
what kind of similarities? Yeah.
Westbrook versus OKC. Not if LeBron and Davis play. Are we getting a discount on Westbrook? How much is Westbrook? I probably should.
I don't hate Westbrook. I would definitely prefer AD or LeBron, obviously, but at 7-2 on this slate, I think he's fine as a last guy in if you land there.
What's the most fun way for LeBron to break this record? Or the most ridiculous way? Or, if the NFL, I asked this on Twitter, if the NFL, the NFL is scripted, you've heard this, I'm sure. If the NBA was scripted, the same scriptwriters for the NBA, how would they script it out for LeBron to beat the record?
I'm not really sure. Maybe they do, I don't know. I feel like you would do if it was I don't have any grand take here. I think they'd want him to do it versus Milwaukee. The NBA probably is more scripted has a better chance of being scripted than the NFL, I will say. Wasn't that a thing at one point too? Sacramento and Chris Webber teams or something.
That game was pretty shady. I watched that game in a Vegas casino, the Lakers-Sacramento game you're talking about, where Lakers got like 97 free throws in the second half. It was but it was a pro Laker crowd. Like Vegas crowd tends to lead like Lakers 4 hours away. But yeah, that was pretty wild for sure.
Donaghy, I think, was the ref that was.
Yes, and he had the documentary on Netflix, which somebody came out and basically said like how it was really skewed from his, and put him in about as positive a light you could actually put him in. You almost felt sympathetic for the guy, but he tried to separate himself from the crimes, I guess. But yeah, Netflix probably didn't do a very good job in that documentary. Long story short, the chat I think has the best answer, by the way. Skyhook, of course, Kareem known for the skyhook. LeBron putting it. I don't know if he's. And some people they'll probably say he's like, look at me. Who knows? They'll probably spin that in a negative way. That'd be kind of cool if he did a skyhook for his 36 point. I don't know.
Can he do the skyhook? Is that in the repertoire? I feel like it should be, right? He's LeBron.
I feel like everybody, like when you pick up basketball at some point in your life, you're just kind of messing around. You'll just attempt one.
When I was a kid, I think that was like the first shot my dad was trying to teach me how to do. But
yeah,
6 feet, so I don't know how the skyhook was going to work. And
it's unblockable, but it's not as like now like years later, mathematicians discovered that 3 is greater than 2. So the skyhook is not the best shot in the world anymore.
Yeah.
But that would be kind of cool, I think. I don't know. We have crunch time. Should be coming in momentarily. We're crunch time start. Oh, here we are. Right on time when they're talking about Leo DiCaprio with his 19-year-old girlfriend. All right. We were killing time, and that's where I was going to go to next. But what's up, Roth? Roth, you have to come in a little. You got to work a little harder these days, Roth. How about that?
Yeah, I think you've been doing too much complaining about how long your segment of the show is, so they keep cutting parts of yours off and handing it to me. So good work by you.
Yeah, as I said earlier, too much usage. I got to delegate some out for sure. I've been like Cam Thomas basically the entire season on this show, working way too much. But I'm happy to yield. More crunch time for the people, more Fanduel sponsor crunch time for the people. We got Keith and let me pull up the video. Oh, it's Tim, returning champion. What's up, Tim?
Come on, Dean. What's going on?
Were you like you're not even supposed to be here today, or were you on the list? I feel like I didn't see your name.
I was on the list the whole time, Dean. Thank you for paying attention. As always, Dean. Thank you.
Well, my apologies. We want the people to get as much crunch time as possible. So myself and Bobby, unless you got anything else, Bobby, should we step aside and get out of here?
Yeah, we can step aside and get out of here. Good luck, guys, tonight.
Yeah, crush it. It's Kevin Roth. It's Tim, returning champion. Keith, returning champion, too. 2 returning champions going to battle out. Roth, take it away.
What are we champions of? I don't know, but I appreciate it, Dino. Welcome to it. It is indeed crunch time. It is sponsored by FanDuel, and this show is free. So make sure you're just hitting that thumbs up, giving us a little like there on the YouTube. That is all we ask, and what we give in return is some of the best content in the biz with some of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got Keith, a.k.a. the Iceman, coming in. Ice, what up, man?
Not too much. Just trying to figure out if Cam Thomas is going to drop another 40-piece on us tonight. Dude has been incredible just shooting the lights out. So
it blows my mind. Like every now and again, I just tell my wife, like, I have to talk to you about something you don't care about. And last night it was the fact that these guys can basically get no minutes, no run in the NBA. And then they get put in the starting role and they can drop 40 burgers back to back. Like, how crazy is that?
It's absolutely incredible. The amount of talent in the league. And like, if you just don't quite crack that rotation, like there's really good basketball players just sitting on the bench doing nothing.
Yeah. It just like, honestly, that just shocks me. Like how many other guys are like that, where if they just get some run, they can drop 40. Like I know there's more out there and it's pretty crazy, but obviously that was a fun story. And I don't know, is he playing tonight?
He is.
Okay. Yep. We shall see. We got Tim as well. Tim, what's happening, bud?
Not much. I swapped off the wrong Dallas player last night and swapped right off the nuts. I had the best team you could possibly make, I think, but I got off of what is it? Is it Harvey?
Hardy.
I got off Hardy. And did not work out. So I still had a pretty good night, but I would have had an even better night.
Yeah, there were a lot of guards that did really well, so you could have survived without him. Like, I crushed last night. I came third in my single entry. So a lot of good content given away here on this show. I'm sure a lot of RotoGrinders Crunch Time viewers did excellent last night. But we don't just talk about what we did. We don't talk about the past. We got to bring in the goods yet again. So let's kind of dive into it. Now, Tim, usually you're my cash guy if Means is out. Is that going to be the case here?
I could do that.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Excellent. Well, then why don't you give us an overview of the slate, and then we can jump into a FanDuel cash build.
Yeah, so just so everybody knows, we are still waiting on a little bit of news that is very important, I think, for cash and tournaments. Like we're waiting for some Knicks news to fall. I'm assuming that's going to fall any minute now. RJ Barrett is questionable. If he were to be ruled out, I think that Emmanuel Quickly would become a cash game cornerstone for all sites. So would your guy, Jalen Brunson, Roth. Definitely 7,900 on FanDuel, point guard, shooting guard. He's probably in the cash game conversation anyway. But if Barrett were to be ruled out, he would be absolutely solidified as an absolute cash game must. I think that we should go right back to Edmund Sumner, projected for 32 minutes. They're not always going to have these amazing games like they did last night, but the role is still going to be there, and he should absolutely just crush. So I think that Sumner and Brunson right now are my cash game point guard, shooting guard. And then you're going to hear a lot about Brandon Ingram today. He's super cheap on DraftKings, but he's also very, very affordably priced on FanDuel, and he's shooting guard, small forward. I would recommend playing him in the small forward slot on FanDuel. But he's a really, really good play. He's way too cheap. And then another piece of news that I want to discuss real quick is DeJounte Murray. He's questionable with a migraine, and that was like a midday questionable, which I'm pretty concerned about. And I think that would make Trae Young a cash game lock as well. So again, we have a lot of really, really good guards. Not like the super cheap ones like we saw yesterday, but still, like, these are the type of guys that we really want to play. And that game doesn't start till 7:30. So you're going to want to make sure that you're paying attention, because we might not have that news until maybe possibly after the first game locks. So the first thing is we got to wait to find the Barrett news. If Barrett's out, then Quickly is a cash game lock along with Brunson, but you can play Brunson anyway.
Okay. Can we talk about some of the guys who maybe aren't cash game locks, but are still finding their way into your build? Like, if you don't mind going position by position for us.
Sure, yeah. So CJ McCollum is another guy. Herbert Jones. Herbert Jones is showing up like in cash game, like optimal builds, but I don't know. I'm a little bit worried. I mean, he's going to play a lot of minutes. He's not a high usage guy, but and Barrett's in, so we just got that news. So Quickly is out of the conversation, but like I said, Brunson is still like a really, really good play. Herbert Jones, he's definitely like a cash game play. I don't think he has like quite the ceiling for like single entry GPP, but I'm not entirely sure on that. Like, if I'm only playing cash games, I guess Herbert Jones is okay, but I'm not too thrilled with it. Markelle Fultz, I think, is another decent floor play on FanDuel, but there's just so many guards. Like, I don't think I want to waste a spot on him quite yet. And then I love Jamal Murray, and I think he's a really, really great play as well. So I think that would pretty much do it. But again, we really got to wait on this Murray news for the Hawks, because Trae Young would catapult way up there to a must play status if Murray would be out. And then of course Bogdanovich, Bogdanovich, I think, would end up playing 35 minutes, and he might not start, but he might end up being in the cash game conversation also. So he was a guy that you should definitely keep on your radar.
Okay. Is there forward, some forward guys, some centers you want to run through here?
Yeah. So Isaiah Hartenstein is the cash game guy. His minutes have become a lot more consistent. He's 5K. He's power forward center on FanDuel. I really like him tonight. Xavier Tillman is another guy. He's 5'3". Again, he's power forward center. I really like him. Julius Randle, if it kind of depends on what you want to do, like with the rest of your spends. He's 9,100 on FanDuel, which is way too cheap. So I think for cash games, you could definitely get to him. I think you should be playing a couple New York Knicks in cash games. Like a lot of the optimals I've been running have shown like 4 Knicks in the optimals. I think that's too many, but having 3 is okay. So
what's so special about the Knicks? I mean, Barrett is in now. Is there?
It's just the minutes. Like they play so many minutes. It's a Tom Thibodeau coach team. They're all going to play 35 minutes or more. The matchup it's not like amazing, but it's just the minutes are so secure. And a lot of these matchups that we see later in the night, they're not amazing. So it kind of depends on what you do with LeBron. I think LeBron's more of a tournament play and Randall's more of a cash game play. That's just my take anyway. I'll see what Keith has to say about that. A lot of these centers, like I don't think you can pay it for Jokic tonight. He's just too expensive for cash games. A lot of these centers are like power forward center options. Like I already talked about, like Tillman, like Hartenstein. You can play Randall at center if you want to. You could play Vucevic at center because I think like DeRozan is questionable, so that could filter some usage. But again, that's not a really good matchup. So I think center power forward, unless you're playing Randall, you have to kind of save on tonight. There's really no good spend up option at center tonight.
Okay, very good. I did get a couple questions in kind of regarding Barrett. One of them is he's in. Should he be a part of my core? Like, can I play him?
Yeah, you can. That's the thing. But the thing is, I wouldn't play 4 of them. So I kind of like playing Randall, Brunson, Hartenstein. I don't want to play a 4th Knick. So that's kind of my take. But yes, you absolutely can play Barrett. He absolutely can be part of your cash game core. I have no issue with that. He's going to play a ton. He just kind of, out of the 4, he's probably just my least favorite.
Okay. And then I got a question from Doug Finney-Smith that says, all right, well, with Barrett in, I can't play Evan now, right? Is that Evan Fournier? Is that who he's talking about? Evan?
Yeah, probably Fournier. Yeah, he's probably out of the rotation now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And very good.
Murray is in, by the way, but DeMar has been ruled out. So, yeah. So
let's run through that news real quick.
Yeah, so Trae Young is not like a smash play anymore. So it's good that we have that news before lock. I think some ownership is going to filter to Levine. I don't think I'm necessarily that crazy about that, though, because he's going to get Dylan Brooks defense, and he's a really good defender. It's not a really, and it's going to be harder for this game to stay close. So I'm a little bit concerned if a lot of ownership or projections start popping for some of these Chicago guys. My favorite would be Vucevic, though. If you want to get to 1, I think that Vucevic would be my guy. Alex Caruso is a game time decision, and he's going to have an effect on Drummond. Drummond, we saw last night, absolutely crushed, and he might have to play some more minutes tonight. And I think they might be showing him off for the trade deadline, but that's just me speculating. I'm not really sure. So they could be playing him some extended run. But I don't know. We'll have to see what the projection team comes up with some of these Chicago guys. But I'm a little bit bearish, I guess, on Levine and more bullish on Vucevic.
Okay, very good. We got to get Icy's takes, of course, on tournaments. Worth noting, speaking of tournaments, make sure that you are in that FanDuel single entry series. It's sponsored by RotoGrinders. It's back. Reserve your spot in the Tuesday NBA block contest. $5 to enter, for your chance at 1.5K. What's great about this is at the end of the single entry tournament, if you do well in these individual tournaments, you get bonus cash thrown at you. It's like winnings on top of winnings. So make sure you're signing up for that. Also, sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their truly awesome bonus offer. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $3K, which is a lot. Terms and conditions apply, but make sure you are checking that out. And then last but not least, tune in tomorrow for the this is after NBA, for the RG and Scores and Odds Super Bowl betting breakdown. We're going to be talking, of course, about the Super Bowl, our favorite bets, and it rolls right after crunch time tomorrow. So just something to keep on your radar there. With that all said, let's talk some tournaments. And Ice, we now bring you in here. Oh, look at that. We got graphics for it and everything. Beautiful stuff. Ice, let's talk about the tournament thoughts here. Just kind of walk me through your build. I feel like there's some good plays to be had.
Yeah, there are some good plays. The value on this slate is a little bit tough, though. So you asked what's so special about New York, and really it's nothing. But that sums up the whole slate. Just a lot of teams in tough spots, like a lot of good defenses on this slate. I was really hoping the DeJounte Murray news came after lock and that he ended up getting rolled out and Trae Young was going to come in way lower owned than he should be. So unfortunately we do have that news, but at least it broke that Murray is in. So I'm pretty much off of Trae Young now. I don't like him near as much since we have that news. Brooklyn is in Phoenix. Cam Thomas has gotten a little bit of a price bump on FanDuel especially. Chicago is on a back-to-back in Memphis, so I kind of echo Tim's thoughts there that just a little bit of pause. And then Minnesota is traveling to Denver. Everybody's pretty priced appropriately there as long as the Minnesota questionable guys play. So the only real game environment I'm excited about is Oklahoma City and Lakers, and that's because they're two of the fastest teams in the NBA. They rank second and third in pace. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be heavily targeting that Oklahoma City LA Lakers game. We obviously have the LeBron narrative. He needs 36 points to break the all-time scoring record. If people are going to chase that, I absolutely love pivoting to Anthony Davis. I think the matchup is actually better for Davis. Oklahoma City has struggled against centers. They don't rebound very much. I think Davis could easily go for 30 points and 15 rebounds in this game. So he is one of my favorite tournament plays on the entire slate. Really like Jokic as well. He's tough to get, like Tim said. The value is not great on the slate. But like if people are scared of this matchup against Gobert, I'm not. I think Gobert is near the elite defender that he used to be. Jokic is showing under 15% ownership here on a 6-game slate. I think that's making him a priority is a great way to play as well. So just a couple of my favorite plays there. And the Andre Drummond stuff is really interesting. A lot of centers here that I like in tournaments. So that's probably going to be the primary way that I differentiate in my build is that center. Andre Drummond and Nikola Vucevic are two of my favorite plays now as well. It is a tough matchup against Memphis, but Drummond is super cheap, 4,400 here on FanDuel. Love that play. Definitely potential. He may not see anywhere near the run he did in the last game. But with DeRozan out, I think there's plenty of shots to go around. I am interested in some of these cheaper bulls. But Levine and Vucevic, we'll see what the ownership numbers look like here once it updates, but not too excited about going overweight on a tough matchup in Memphis.
Okay, very good. And let me know when those new numbers do come in, and we'll kind of run through that as we walk through DK. Let's do that. Let's pivot here over to DK. And Tim, I'll bring it back in. Talk to me about a little DK cash build.
Yeah, so Sumner is definitely the first guy in. He's 4,100, so he's super cheap. I have no issue playing with him. We have him over a 7x value. So, I mean, he's an absolute smash play. Brandon Ingram, 7,100, shooting guard only. I wish he was small forward, but I don't really, whatever. I still, he's just way too cheap. Like, he's going to have an over 35% usage rate in this game. Like, he's way, way, way too cheap. So, and then Cameron Thomas, 5,200, point guard, shooting guard. I would definitely put him in the shooting guard spot. But again, these guys aren't going to have, like I said, these guys aren't going to keep having games like they did last night, but they're still way, way too cheap. Mm-hmm. So, it's really, really easy. We got Levine's projection in.
He's
He's
popping.
small. Yeah, he's popping. That makes me nervous, man. Like, oh man, I guess I don't know. I mean, I always lean towards our projection. Our guys are the best. So I mean, 38 minutes, a 48-point projection. That's definitely fine. I mean, that's obviously a smash projection. I'm just worried about blowout. But I mean, I guess that's just me being a little bit concerned. So yeah, he's definitely in the cash game conversation. I love that he's multi-positional eligibility. Kobe White starting to pop to 3,800. If we were to lose Caruso too, he would be an absolute amazing play. So just keep an eye out on that. Like that could end up being a really, really strong play.
I did run court IQ quick just to see what they look like without DeRozan. Levine in 628 minutes without DeRozan, 31.8% usage. So he's going to be chucking out there for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be chucking. I'm just worried
about the game staying close.
Yeah, and I'm worried about him making them. I know he's going to be chucking. So yeah, I mean he's definitely a good play. He's definitely going to be popping in optimals. If you want to play him in cash too, and this changes the build quite a bit too because he's 8,300, and there were other guys kind of in that price range that we were hoping to get, and then getting some of these auxiliary cheaper Chicago players changes the build quite a bit also. Like Kobe White at 3,800, he might end up. I mean, we're really starved for value on this slate, like he said. So this could end up being a really, really good spot for him. This kind of takes like guys like Trae Young off the board for me, CJ McCollum off the board for me, in cash games anyway. In tournaments, that's different, but in cash games, like it kind of takes some of those other guards out of the question for me, and now it's just going to be like these Brooklyn guys, Ingram, and these Chicago guys for cash games.
Okay. Anything you want to add here? Filling out cash?
Small forward is kind of tricky once again. Herbert Jones is 4,900. I talked to him on about him on Fanduel. He's just a minutes play. He's the guy that adds up, defensive stats, rebounds, stocks, steals and blocks and things like that. I think he might be a necessary evil in cash just because you probably are going to need to punt this small forward position, or you're going to have to pay up to Levine. So I think that he's just a necessary piece to get other pieces that are more important for cash games. So RJ Barrett, 30, he's going to play a ton of minutes. It's a decent matchup, 6,300. So it's Levine, Jones, or Barrett for me. And then DeAndre Hunter, I think, is an actually pretty interesting play, but he might be more of like a tournament single entry type build. And then I'm trying to see if anything is really popping that's like an absolute lock. I still think Isaiah Hartenstein or Xavier Tillman are your cash game centers on DK. Vucevic is 9K. That's pretty expensive. So for cash games, I think I'm still going to be saving on Hartenstein or Tillman.
Okay, very good. Let's talk DK GPPs. Ice, what is different? And if you don't mind, just kind of running through it position by position.
The main difference is Cam Thomas's price. He's expensive on FanDuel and not going to be very popular. So like him for tournaments a lot there. For DK, he's still just 5,200 and showing nearly 50% ownership. So the Cam Thomas decision is important on DK. Ben Simmons is back, so he may not start, which we still have him projected for 30 minutes, and he's seen a usage rate over 40% in his last two games. I'm struggling on what to do with Cam Thomas. I'm just playing him at about the field. And just not taking a stance there because he could legitimately still score 30 points here. There's just no one to shoot. Like Simmons is not somebody who's going to come in and take his usage.
Right.
So there's still plenty of shots available for Cam Thomas. Sumner is way underpriced. He should remain in the starting lineup. I think you definitely go overweight on him despite the massive ownership there. Same with Brandon Ingram, 7,100, far too cheap. Should play mid-30s minutes. He's more like an 8K player, so he's almost $1,000 underpriced in a good matchup against Atlanta. So Ingram, another guy, despite high ownership, want to be overweight there. The Levine stuff is interesting, and we still don't have an ownership update. I did a refresh right before I started talking here, but that ownership should start coming in here in the next couple of minutes. And Levine's going to probably be showing significant ownership. I'm guessing I end up under the field on him. Some of the other guys I'm going overweight on. We'll start at the point guard position. I think Jalen Brunson's ownership is affected by this Levine news. I think it comes down. I really like Brunson in tournaments now. I was playing plenty of him before anyway, but I think the Levine stuff will lower up Brunson's ownership a bit. Josh Giddey is in that game environment that I love. Last game of the night. I think he's a perfectly fine play. SGA, of course, as a spend up. Nobody is paying up very much on this slate just because he was tough. If we lose Caruso for Chicago, then I am going to be interested in some of these Chicago value pieces. Ayo Dosunmu would certainly be somebody that makes my build if we get that Caruso news here shortly. A couple of shooting guards here. Let's see here. I talked about the Cam Thomas stuff. He needs to be part of your build, but I don't think you need to go crazy with him today. Kobe White is really popping now, even with Caruso still projected. 3,800. I think that makes a ton of sense. Just because there were really no viable 3Ks. Kobe White should get some pretty decent run. We saw 33 minutes in the last game. That was without Caruso, though. So the Caruso news does matter still for him, but there's still plenty of time or plenty of minutes available without DeRozan. So don't mind the Kobe White play. A couple of forwards here. With Herb Jones picking up a ton of ownership, I really like pivoting to either Najee Marshall or Trey Murphy is my favorite. Trey Murphy's been shooting the ball really well here recently. Don't mind the price here. Tim talked about DeAndre Hunter a little bit. I like him. I think you can take shots on Patrick Williams. Without DeRozan, there's going to be some usage to go around. Obviously, Levine's going to take a ton of that, but Patrick Williams could be a guy who shoots a little bit more in this spot. Don't mind paying up for Julius Randle. He's tough to get to. And then LeBron and AD are certainly guys I'm paying up for today, with a slight preference for AD. Nick Claxton is a guy that nobody's really talking about. He's been playing phenomenal here recently. If Cam Thomas doesn't start, there's going to be a lot of shots available on that first unit. I could see Claxton getting quite a bit of that. He's been rebounding, blocking shots as well. So the price at 7,700 might feel uncomfortable, but I don't think it is. He certainly still has upside on that price. Let's see here. Talked about Drummond a little bit. I think he could become safer if Caruso is ruled out, but I still have him in the pool even with Caruso in, just because we don't know what's going to happen with this rotation. So still perfectly fine taking some shots there. Tillman in play is a cheap piece for sure. And then Vucevic is a little bit overpriced. I definitely think I would rather end up for AD or Jokic than try to get over the field on Vucevic.
Very good. Tim, you have something to add? I feel like you're chomping at the bit here.
No, I just wanted to say, I wouldn't play any more than 2 New York Knicks now. Before I was going to say 3, but with this news regarding Chicago, I wouldn't go more than 2 for cash games. What you do in tournaments is more up to you, but for cash, I would no more than 2 of them, because there's a lot of things we still don't know about Chicago that we need to know that could end up being very, very important.
Okay, very good. I got a question here. Ice, did you mention Boncaro as a good pivot from Ingram? Or is it a potential pivot? I think good.
I think that's completely fine. He struggled a little bit here, second half of the season for rookies. It's tough, but he does still have some ceiling. We've seen a couple near 50-point games from him. Don't mind the matchup against New York, so totally fine with that. Yep.
Okay, very good. And then I got a question. Eugene says, do y'all think LeBron will play? We're fully expecting him to play, correct?
Yeah, he is questionable, but I think he's playing.
Yeah,
he's playing.
Yeah, all right. We think he's playing. Excellent stuff, guys. We have 14 whole minutes left for QQs. If you didn't notice, we did start the show about 5 minutes earlier. That's going to be a thing going forward. And the general thought is that we want to save more time to answer your individual questions. So we're not going to be as rushed through, sometimes you've only got 3 or 4 minutes for questions and we don't get to all of them. Now we're going to have a lot of time, too much time. So if you have any questions, please do fire away. Of course, I will be making some primarily focusing on the RG Discord, but I'm going to jump into the YouTube as well once we get caught up there. With that said, let's get to it here. FanDuel Cash. Tim, you want McCollum or Levine?
Levine.
FanDuel GPP. Should I fade Cam and the Nets? This is kind of what you were talking about, Ice. He says, surely Cam doesn't go nuts again. I don't know about surely.
So on FanDuel, we have him projected for very low ownership. I think because of what he's done, he's going to come in higher than the projection. Like, you just can't project him to do what he's done the last 2 days. So he's going to come in higher than he's projected to be, but I still think he's going to be lower owned. He got a huge price bump, and we're not expecting him to start. But if he puts up 40 actual points again, 6,500 is way, way too cheap. So I definitely want to be over the field on FanDuel. DK, it's a little bit tougher. He's coming in much higher owned.
Interesting. Okay. But in a vacuum, it's a better play on DK just price
because of the price.
But,
yep.
Yeah, but ownership
But ownership play. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. B. Scott says crunch time should start at 5:30 Eastern. What do you think, Roth? I'm twitching just reading that. We're good. I think we're good with our current start time. Thanks. Let's see here. Scrolling up a little bit more. Is DJJ, that's
Derrick Jones Jr.
Oh,
Bulls.
Thank you. Is he viable in cash, Tim?
No, not cash.
Very good. Is Aaron Gordon any better of a play than Joker tonight if Murray doesn't play?
A better play than
I don't know. Is Aaron Gordon a good play if Murray doesn't play? Maybe we'll leave it at that.
I think he's play regardless. Yes. Minnesota's a very fast-paced team, so an up-tempo spot here for Denver. I'm perfectly fine with Gordon, even if Murray's in.
Okay, very good. DKGPP, who would you not play with Levine if Caruso is out? White, Ayo, or both?
If Caruso is out, I don't have any issue playing them together, especially with their pricing. Yeah, I mean, Ayo's 4,300, White is 3,800 on DK, and Levine is underpriced now for his role without DeRozan. I wouldn't be concerned about playing them together.
White's going to be such a... Go ahead. Yeah.
No, please.
No, I was just going to say White's projecting amazing already, and now if you take Caruso out, he's going to project even better. So you should definitely be playing them together.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Sean says, hey, sorry, guys, I'm just tuning in. I was just able to get away from the wife, which is hilarious. Can I play Hartenstein as on a FanDuel GPP?
Yes.
Very good. Yes, you can. FanDuel GPP feels like Gobert is sitting on the front end of a back-to-back with that ongoing groin issue. Is that something that is possible?
It is possible. He's questionable. He's played through the Q tag often. If he sits, Naz Reid is a phenomenal play. Yeah.
Who was it? Naz Reid?
Yeah, Naz Reid. Mm-hmm. And I think you could take shots on Nathan Knight as well, especially if Kyle Anderson is also out. Then I would definitely take shots on Nathan Knight also.
And I think that would bring and I think Tayshaun Prince would end up being like a really, really good play also.
Torian Prince.
So yeah,
we went way back.
I was real confused for a second.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Hang on. I missed some news somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Would you fade the New York-Orlando game and wait for news? Falcor, he didn't say if this was cash or GPP. I feel like that matters. Would you fade the New York-Orlando game and wait for news? He says, I like Brunson and Randall.
Yeah, then play them. I think that they're strong cash game plays.
Yeah, I would say it's the second best matchup on the slate.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good defensive teams in the middle of the slate. I like the last game that I talked about, but as far as matchup, the Knicks have the best on the slate.
Okay. Was it Tayshaun Prince that had the chase down block on Reggie Miller? Do y'all remember that? No, I'm showing my age. It was before before your time. It was he won a playoff
older
series.
Than you, but
I'm damn near 40. You're not older than me.
I'm damn near 42, sir.
And someone in chat says yes. I think they're responding to me.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. It was the Pistons to chase down block. It was like the best block I've ever seen, at least at the time. Eastern Conference Finals Game 2. Step up your NBA knowledge, guys. Come on. Let's see here. BK says Tillman or Hartenstein. You mentioned liking them both here. BK says Tillman seems safer, but Hartenstein has a higher ceiling. Ice, I guess I'll give this to you.
Yeah, for tournaments, I agree that Tillman has the higher ceiling. I prefer him in tournaments.
Okay, very good. TJ saying I was watching that game live on TV, and TJ's like 17 years old, so I guess it wasn't that long ago. DK Cash from Arlo. This is a 3v3. Colby White, Tillman, and AD, or Cam Thomas, J-Val, and Murray. Tim?
The first one.
Okay, very good. An am I stupid question. Been a while since we got one of these. Aside says, am I stupid? I'm considering Derrick Jones Jr. in FanDuel cash. I'm really trying to do whatever I can to get LeBron.
I guess you're maybe not stupid, but it's close. I wouldn't do it, but I guess if you really want to play LeBron, you can.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm going to try to find.
If Caruso's out, then I think
Yeah.
it's viable because there's going to be some minutes to be distributed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Very good. All right. Caught up on the RG Discord and jumping on over to some of these YouTube questions here. Going to scroll up just a wee bit on the YouTube. Hart or Sims? You didn't say any particular site. I'm going to call it a tournament question. Hart or Sims?
I'm guessing that's a Knicks center question, and he's talking about Hartenstein. He's just had more secure minutes here recently, so he is coming in higher, but I still prefer Hartenstein. He does a little bit more while he's out there too.
Okay, very good. Taking this question from Taylor. Shout out to Taylor, by the way. He's here with us every day. He's always putting in questions and comments. This one from Taylor says, FanDuel GPPs, Shy AD and Bulls Pels Cheapies. Does that sound good in a FanDuel GPP?
That sounds fantastic to me.
Very good. Very good. Scrolling down. Cold Ink says FanDuel, Aldama or Tillman. I think JJ might play more of the 5.
Oof. I mean, it's certainly possible. I don't mind Aldama as a pivot if you're trying to get away from Tillman. If that's the question, I'm fine with playing a little bit of Aldama. We haven't projected 17, but I could see that being 22, 24, certainly.
Okay, very good. Mark says, any Patrick Williams love? Ice, I assume that's a tournament question as well.
I wouldn't call it love. I think he's definitely in play. Value's not great. So this Bulls stuff, we have to be interested on this slate. Plenty of, like, DeRozan's leaving behind, 28% usage or something. There's plenty of shots available for
he's going to play. He's going to play. He's going to play 32, 33 minutes. So
yep,
he can get there.
Sure. Okay. Tim Kyle says, hey, Jamal Murray has to be playing, right? He sat last game and they don't play tomorrow. Do you feel strongly that is true?
I agree with that statement, but I hate to say that he has to play. Like, I hate to, put it in 100% category like that. But I'd agree with that comment.
Okay, very good. Nathan says, what do you think of that's Wendell Carter, I assume. What do you think of Wendell Carter?
Not somebody that I have. I think the price is completely fine. I like a lot of centers today. Talked about Jokic, AD, two of my absolute favorites, playing a little bit of Drummond. So I did not get there, but he's completely fine.
Very good. A few more from the YouTube, and then I'm going to jump back into the RG Discord as well. AO says, do you like SGA as your favorite spend up on DK tonight? I feel like your favorite spend up might be the AD. But
my favorite is Anthony Davis, but whoever suggested play them together, I do like playing them together. And this Bulls news, DeRozan out, it makes it a little bit more comfortable to do that.
Okay, very good. Which Bulls are you targeting? Sorry, I'm like muting myself because there's kids screaming, but I was talking, which is a real dumb time to mute myself.
So the guards for sure. I'm mixing in a little bit of Drummond and Patrick Williams, but Kobe White is one of the best values on the slate now. Certainly Io's in play. And if Caruso gets ruled out, you can certainly add even more. Like you can go to Derek Jr., I think. But yeah, just a mix of all of them.
Okay, very good. DKGPP, Bruce Brown if Jamal Murray sits.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. We got about 3 minutes until lock. Mike says FanDuel GPP is making your work ice. We need your favorite last piece at small forward for 5,100.
Favorite last piece, small forward, 5,100. That's Patrick Williams, Najee Marshall, Herbert Jones. I would try to get away from Herbert Jones. Just don't like the ownership number. I will lean slightly Najee Marshall over Patrick Williams. Okay, I think Williams is going to pick up a little ownership too.
Okay. DKGPP right back at you. Dumpster dive question. Any interest in Aaron Wiggins?
I like the game environment. Just very concerned about the rotation and the run that he gets. I think he's fine. If you need that small forward position, that's the only reason I would play him over Kobe White. But if that makes sense, if you have to have a small forward, then Wiggins is fine.
Okay. TJ pointing out, we need to get over 100 likes. This is free content. We started the show early just so that you can hit that thumbs up button. So please, before you head out, give us that little bit of YouTube love would certainly, we would welcome it. Chinatown says, Tim, I missed it. Why is Cam Thomas not projected starting? Have there been reports he's getting less run? The answer is that what's his face is back.
Simmons is back, so we're not exactly sure. That's why we're projecting him not starting right now. That's why Simmons is back.
Very good. Jep says, what are your thoughts on Kyle Anderson in a DK GPP? Is he questionable?
He is questionable. And he's been dealing with, I forget what the exact injury is, but he's been
back spasms.
Yeah, not a comfortable thing to deal with. So
I really think he's sitting tonight.
Yeah. And I'd be very leery of playing him, even if he is in. Just
very good.
A back is something that can flare up for sure.
Yeah. Aside says, what are your thoughts on Randall and Hartenstein together in FanDuel Cash? I feel like you're all about that.
Fine.
Yes.
That's fine.
We approve.
Yes. Yeah.
Hoosiers Hang Banner says, sounds like nobody's playing CP3.
I would agree with that. Booker's back, but that might lead to more assists.
But he's priced up like Booker's not there, and then Booker's back.
Yeah, I don't love it. The match,
but not crazy.
No, especially against this depleted Brooklyn team. I think he's fine.
Okay, very good. Less than a minute until lock. Who gets the biggest Minnesota bump if slow-mo doesn't go?
Taurean Prince.
Nice. Any Javal? Oh, Joval. Any Joval love? I was like, who the hell's Joval?
He just doesn't play enough minutes. I don't know. I like with Ingram back now too. Like I can't get there.
He's a guy. It depends on how many lineups I'm making. Like if I'm spreading out, he can definitely always be in the pool. But if I'm playing just single entry, then no.
Gotcha. All right. Guys, we have hit the lock and I would love to hang out, but there's meltdowns happening upstairs and I need to go save my wife from some screaming kids. So hopefully you guys like the new format, starting a little bit earlier, taking a few more QQs. If you did like it, thumbs it up. If you didn't like it, still thumbs up because it's still free. So that's just fair. We are going to bounce on out of here. So for Ice, for Tim, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.